You're familiar with Mike Lang, the legendary voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins, right?
Very much
He
so,
had a
yeah.
bunch of colorful sayings. One of them is, I've seen that fish before. And that's what I was thinking watching the Steelers game and watching that Steelers offense. I've seen this offense before. This is last year's offense, especially in the second half. My God,
The second half was abysmal.
what happened?
I made that joke on Twitter about, I'm glad we don't do a Denver Broncos podcast because I don't know what the hell we talk about. Well,
Oh my goodness, they
I
have to be
thought for
going
the first
crazy.
half we'd be just, gosh, I will say this. I feel like the big story coming out of that game is those penalties. I think without those penalties, it was probably going to be like a 20-6, maybe even 23-6 score, and I think that would have been a lot more. I think that people would have been more comfortable with that, or it would have sit better. It would have with me, but it wasn't good. Justin Fields wasn't great. He's so that's and it's almost like I still feel like we're seeing the same thing we saw with the Bears. Some of his passes are incredible. I mean, they're really like it's like holy crap. I mean, on the dime stuff like Big Ben used to throw.
Yeah,
Right here. But he was only 13 for 20 for 117 yards, and a lot of that went to Pickens. Van Jefferson sure as hell didn't help, both with the penalties and just not being a
yeah.
threat. Nobody's afraid of him. 2 catches for 14 yards. So when it comes down to the end of the day, the Steelers have 2 wins and they have as many touchdowns as they have wins. And now you have the Chargers coming in, and I actually had that as a win when we did the picks 2 weeks ago. Now I don't know. I mean, they've got to get a lot better than this in a lot and in a hurry. They got to get a lot better.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about the game next week. The Chargers have played the Raiders and the Panthers are basically like playing not a good high school team, like one of those like really bad ones that just happen to field a team and get
Right.
blown out 52-10 every week. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but you're right. This cannot, you know, no touchdowns last week, one touchdown and two field goals this week. That's just not going to cut it. The Broncos are crazy bad. It would sure help. I know it would help them if they had like, I don't know, an extra 40 million to spend that they didn't get to spend
Yeah.
because they paid Russell Wilson to go away. So, and oh, by the way, here's a crazy idea. You draft a quarterback in the first round. Maybe he's not ready yet. He's definitely not ready yet. He is not an NFL quarterback right now. I tell you what, Zach Wilson might have beat the Steelers yesterday. And he's like their second or third string quarterback. Zach Wilson
Yeah.
had, I think that Zach Wilson, the only team he's good against is the Steelers because I remember he beat the Steelers as a member of the Jets. But I don't know what would happen if they actually had somewhat of a decent quarterback yesterday.
I think you got to give the Steelers some credit. I was really happy to see Corey Trice step up there. I mean, they gave up a big play because Minka got kind of jinxed on that or juked on that. He bit on the play, but they come back and they intercept it in the end zone. And they actually lead the league in plus minus right now. They're a +5, which I know it's early in the season, but that's a good thing. That's where you want your defense to be. So I mean, they've been ball hawks. They've been doing a great job. They did it against Atlanta last week. They're doing it again this week. They probably will. Herbert's very, he's good for an interception a game, so they're probably going to do it next week too. But the thing is, to me, it's the offense. Like it started out pretty good. The one that blew my mind was the touchdown pass to Darnell Washington because it made me feel like vindicated a little bit because that is what we saw last year at training camp that I was telling you all about. Look, this kid's going to be good. They line up in the exact same formation as they did yesterday. And I think they use it in two ways. They have a way inside the 10 and another maybe inside the 20 or 25. And I told you last year, like when he gets inside the 20, I know KZ like dove out of the way, like I don't want to tackle that guy. Uh, but then I think he caught at least in from what everyone saw, if I can remember, 3 to 4 touchdown passes that way in camp. And then I think there was one in preseason. It's like, okay, this guy, and then we didn't see that anywhere. And you can say, well, Matt Canada, this, that, or the other thing. Can he pick it up? It just didn't come out of their repertoire. I don't know why. And look, yesterday it was good. It worked. I mean, he's, and he, as soon as they lined up, it's like, oh my God, I know what they're running. And boom, because you saw it so much in camp. That's why I'm not an expert. I'm not saying, I'm, X and O mastermind. I'm just saying that you've seen it so much. You know what the play is going to be. And it worked out great. And here we're off to a good start. And then it's not like the Broncos are world beaters on defense, Joe.
It was so frustrating last year because I mean, to me, it's the simplest play ever. You have a giant man. Darnell Washington is just a big dude. All
Well,
you have to do is go a few steps, turn around, and catch the ball, and it's almost unstoppable. And I don't understand why they did that. And like that now that throw and that fade was like, I mean, it was almost perfect, almost a little bit wide, but still, that's when you throw it there, it's almost impossible to defend. Like that's almost a guaranteed touchdown every time. I don't understand why they don't. They're finally doing what is obvious and what wasn't done last year in the regular season.
yeah, it looked good, and I even thought the passes to Muth were looking really good. It almost looked reminiscent of like when Ben would hit Heath, running down the field like that, or he'd roll out a little bit or step out of the pocket, and then bam, and then Heath was great after the catch. And Muth looked good, and I'm thinking, okay, I didn't think we were going to lay 30 on him, but I thought we might hit 24 to 28 today, and damn, it died on the vine.
I
It
don't
just
understand. I don't understand what happened in the second half. There were penalties on almost every single play, definitely every other play. That second half was unwatchable. It was not entertaining at all. And I don't understand what the NFL thinks they're trying to accomplish when you
well,
have that product, because it was awful.
wasn't it like I think that the Steelers and Broncos were only available to 20% of the nation yesterday? I saw it coming, so
Probably.
maybe they knew. Um, but it was probably towards the end of the third quarter. I started seeing all the Pittsburgh media, like this is bad. This game is horrible. I mean, Pomp, I mean, everybody. This is like, this is just awful. And it continued through the fourth quarter. But I think, first of all, I thought Pickens did a nice job against Sertan yesterday. He got away from him. I think he got the best of him for about three quarters. And then they started double teaming him. And that's when you see, Van Jefferson's just, practice squad guy, maybe a fourth guy at best. He's not good.
He's Allen Robinson part two.
Yeah, if that. I mean, at least Allen Robinson had great hands.
Yeah,
He's just got nothing. And, I mean, Roman Wilson might be back, but again, a guy that hasn't played since day two of training camp, it's going to be a long time for Roman Wilson to
right,
get into any kind of groove.
right.
So I don't think he's going to be like the, prodigal son. But they're in a little bit of trouble unless they can't figure out how to get it more to the tight ends like they did and get the ball spread around and do that. But they again, I would like to have seen what would have happened without the stupid penalties because I mean, it definitely cost us one touchdown. I feel for sure. At least
Well,
give us.
there was the one to Pickens where um they called Van Jefferson on a pick. I don't know what the hell that was going on there. But then there was that amazing throw he had for like 50 yards. And that was on a 99-yard drive. And and that won't be remembered for almost scoring on a 99-yard drive. That'll be remembered as the drive that killed Broderick Jones' career because he
Yeah, well,
single-handedly sabotaged that drive, and they pulled him in the middle of the drive. Uh Man, he was having a bad day.
well, and they were rotating him too. And but I did go back and look. Now I know Alan Faneca got pulled twice. He got pulled his rookie year against the look like it was the Jets, doing something similar. Matt Starks had it happen the same exact way, three times on a drive against the Jaguars, and Cowher pulled him. They turned out okay. So I'm going to say that's good karma. Maybe I could be totally wrong here, and that will wake him up. And because I feel like they still believe him and they're invested in him, Joe. But that was an awful showing. You cost your team, at very least, you cost them a field goal. Probably cost them a good shot at a touchdown.
There's three things that could be happening with him. One, either he's hurt. Two, either I hear these things and maybe he has not the greatest attitude, or he's resting on his laurels. Or he thought, oh, just because you had a good rookie year that you have it figured out and then you don't have to keep on working. Or three is maybe the Steelers messed him up. Maybe having him switch from left to right. We don't know where you're going to be. Maybe that screwed him up. I don't know. Or I mean, it's another thing is maybe he doesn't fit in with this blocking scheme.
He has said, even through camp, in his words, that he didn't mind getting switched left to right. It didn't bother him. You might be right. He might not be, telling the truth, but he claims that it hasn't been a big deal. But and I did this on Twitter yesterday too. Like, I went back, tried to look back on it, and they were bad holds. None of them were like, oh, come on. I mean, there was full jersey. It was just like, oh man. I mean, you don't have anything to say. They were just bad holds. And that's the kind of thing. There were some calls yesterday. You were, a little questionable, just like in Atlanta. But they were three bad holds. He held without question on it, all three.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you live and learn. I still feel like they used Najee and Jalen Warren pretty good yesterday. Najee, once again, he's 1 yard shy, almost had back-to-back 70-yard games. He had 69 yesterday. Jalen Warren had 42. They were moving the ball. It's like they're just about there, Joe, and then they regress. I feel like it's that's the only thing I can say it's better than Matt Canada. It's not 0-3 and out and we suck ass. I mean, we're
Yeah.
at least we're moving, we're distributing the ball a little, but we're just not going that next step. And maybe it's because we don't have the talent to do it, or maybe it's just they haven't figured it out how to do it yet as a team.
Or maybe they are ultra conservative, and this has to be at the direction of Tomlin. I mean, we saw it last year, and we're seeing it now. He's basically saying we have this awesome defense. Hey, offense, just don't screw it up. That's it. That's it. Don't win the game for us. Just don't lose it for us. And you get stuff like this of this, second half, three and outs and all this other crap. But like you said, this ain't gonna cut it against a good team. Atlanta, who knows if they're good or not? But we definitely know the Broncos suck.
No, I
And
feel
and,
like
and,
it.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and we don't know if the Chargers are good, but you,
Chargers ran for like 247 yards yesterday. I
oof,
mean, we're gonna have to stop the run. Patrick Queen might be a big key this coming weekend
mhm.
in that game on his ability to tackle and the safeties coming up
Big
to
a
help.
Landon Roberts game too.
Right, and I mean, like if they were playing the Eagles tonight, I am afraid we'd lose bad. I think we'd hang in there. I think our defense is good enough to keep it, honest for about 2 quarters. But I think in the second half we'd get our doors blown off. And that's the thing. You're right. You got to find out that balance. You got to figure it out. And it's just not conservative is not the way to play, man. It's too many good teams in the NFL. The only thing I could say the other side of that though too is there are a lot of teams not scoring other than the Saints, who are Alvin Kamara with four. What Alvin Kamara is like 109 years old.
Seriously, he's ancient and he's
Right. It's
killing
like
it.
the barber chair scene in Coming to America. You know how old he was in that fight? He's 132 years old.
Yeah.
But it's I really feel like, and this is a product of no preseason, there's a lot of guys getting hurt. I mean, now Isaac Pacheco's on 6 to 8 weeks, and you have Tua's down, Jordan Love is down,
McCaffrey,
AJ Brown's
AJ
not playing
Brown,
tonight.
yeah.
And then of course, McCaffrey and the 49ers, and it's like you're just not. The Lions are 0-2, and they've looked a little, kind of ho hum. So it's just these starters just aren't getting enough plays, I don't think, and it's just not working out well. So there's nobody that's really blowing your doors off. But we'll like that Chiefs and Bengals game yesterday, 26-25. That's where I think the Steelers need to be to start winning some of those games. You got to win. You got to score 26, 28,
Yep.
30, somewhere in there. Not every week, but on a lot of weeks. Otherwise, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah,
And that's
the Chiefs are the defending champs. The Bengals are supposed to be really good, and they battled it out. And I can't see the Steelers hanging with either one of those teams right now.
not right
But
now.
we'll see.
I mean, the Bengals maybe. I still feel there's a lot of discourse there. I mean, Burrow stubbed Jamar Chase yesterday. They're not happy. Jamar Chase is not happy. He's gone. T. Higgins is like they're saying, like you're saying, he's maybe, saying, "Oh, it hurts and it doesn't hurt." One of the thing, So yeah, and then the Ravens are 0-2, and I think you posted yesterday something about who would have thought the AFC North would look like this
Right.
2 weeks in, and yet here we are. And I still feel like if we were playing Ravens next week, I think we'd have a chance to beat them. It's the Ravens.
I keep hearing this over and over again. I've heard, in previous years, ooh, the Ravens are in trouble. The Ravens are in trouble, but they might be in trouble. That was a mess. They might have some they might be a little overrated.
And you and I've always said we think Lamar Jackson's a little overrated. There's just times where I feel like if he would stick in there and throw and he runs and it just I don't know. It's probably better than what we have, but not by a ton. But Fields has got to be better than 13 for 20 and 117 yards. And you can say that's partly Fields, it is, but it's also partly he has crap to throw to. At least Kenny Pickett or whoever the heck it was last year had Deontay
Yeah,
and and
Pickens.
Pickens, to
Yeah.
throw to, and Allen Robinson. It was a little bit better, not by much, but a little. Now it's just not. Deontay's already causing problems. Did you see his interview? I love that.
Yeah.
I loved it. You can, what do they say? You can take the kid out of the city, not the city of the kid, or whatever it is. Or um, throws the Carolina Panthers coaching staff right under the bus yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, we're just running what they call. It's their fault for calling this stuff. Like, oh my God, dude. Have
So,
you not learned anything?
but the only thing I could figure is if he was in that game yesterday, I don't know if he goes for like 10 catches and 190 yards, but he probably hauls in 3 or 4, maybe 5. I don't know. Probably a little bit better. I
It'd
don't
be
know.
and
I
be
just
and be interesting because I mean, yeah, he had a bad attitude, but he put up some good numbers and
yeah.
he was a great route runner. And yeah, the Steelers have a major hole there. I just don't know what they could
And,
do. Maybe hope that one of these teams just decides to quit and just starts having a fire sale and trades away their good players or something. I don't know.
and there were times yesterday where I felt like I was glad Fields. It looked like he wanted to run, but he didn't, and he hung in there and completed the pass, or he threw it away. Again, he didn't turn it over, so that's good. But it wasn't on him. He only had 37 yards rushing, and what was that? Two of them were on like 10-yard runs. So I can live with him running 30 yards a game. That's more like Ben numbers. But you got to do better than 13 to 20. And that's the thing we got to see play out. It just you do. I would say the one thing that kind of a backdoor news story. So the Steelers sent 3 coaches to the Colorado State game, and it's like their 5th time they've been watching Sanders. The quarterback there to Colorado, and it seems like they're very invested right now in looking at rookie quarterbacks. So it's like, I don't know. I don't
I'll
know.
take the kid, but you leave your dad out of this.
Oh hell
Leave
yeah!
leave the dad. You
Can you
go
really?
far away.
You have a great point, but can you really? It's Deion Sanders. He's going to run his mouth no matter what.
Ugh.
And I mean, if he has a season like this and starts out, Deion's going to be yapping his mouth off about Mike Tomlin and creating
Uh-huh.
chaos there.
Uh-huh.
You really want to invite that kind of crap into your organization. So, plus, I didn't care for how the kid acted towards the Colorado State quarterback. I really don't care for that whole situation at all. I just don't. I don't want to part
I
of it.
hate everything about what
Yeah,
they're doing there.
right.
It's just
Yeah,
out of control. Um,
yeah.
but the question becomes, so we hear a report that it'll be Justin Fields again next week against the Chargers, and then maybe we'll see how Russell Wilson feels for whoever they play in the fourth game. Um, let's say Justin Fields goes 3-0. How do you pull him? I mean, even he's not playing great, but he's undefeated. How do you pull a quarterback that wins three in a row?
I think if you struggle like this again, let's say they beat the Chargers like next week, like 18-10 again,
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
17-10, and it's Fields has another subpar day like this. If you feel Wilson can come in and let's say double those numbers up. So let's say he goes 20 for 30. That's better. And he has over 200 yards. It's not Pro Bowl, but it's better. So I don't know, Joe. I don't. Like I said, sometimes the backup quarterback, all you want him to do is what he's doing right now. Don't blow the game, and that's what you have to realize. So is he a backup or what? Because I don't think any backup's going to come in and light up the field. The Eagles got lucky that one year. They caught lightning in a bottle with what's his name, and it worked out great. Um,
Oh, Nick Foles.
right. But I mean, if you go back, and I was looking at that too, like you go back to when the Redskins was Jay Schroeder, was not a bad quarterback. When Doug Williams would come in, he would just, had a cannon. He had a good thing with Ricky Sanders going. He had a good thing with Art Monk going, and he moved the ball and they won. And it's like so it came to the playoff time, and Joe Gibbs had to make a decision. Do I go with Doug Williams? Do I go with Jay Schroeder? And it ended up being Jay Schroeder never really recovered from that way with Doug Williams, and a lot of great stuff happened.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know. It's
We just saw it last year with Joe Flacco.
right.
I mean, they had no right being that good, and I mean, he's 100 years old, and he was doing a great job. So
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's hey, they won. So I'm moderately happy. It just wasn't a very convincing one, like I think it could have been or should have been.
I guess you have to factor in that it is mile high and the altitude and stuff, and maybe that was making them tired. I don't know. I don't know, but
Maybe a little. I don't think it 13 for 20. I don't think it was a Steeler crowd. I mean, there was a good amount of Broncos fans there. Denver's a good fan base, but there was a lot of Steeler fans there too. And
I,
I just think they won, but through just it was a bad game. I mean, that's why I sat there. I'm looking at some notes here before our call, and I'm thinking there isn't a lot to point at. That was just great.
yeah, the defense.
Right there, you go. Corey
um,
Trice was great
Corey Trice, TJ Watt
with
is
the
so
two
good that he can
one
just put
hand
a
tags.
finger. He can just put a finger on someone and they just fall over like
Right. Yeah, like House of Cards. I mean, that
the
was
poor kid. He looked back and said, "Who's after me?" Oh, TJ Watt. Oh, I'm getting down. I'm done. I'm done. Done. I give up.
yeah, no, I mean it was like no, they had 7 tackles for a loss. I mean, that's good on any day. And it helped kept the Broncos, on their toes. And Corey Trice had to come in at kind of he was called off the bench to come in. He really wasn't supposed to be in that play. And but that's exactly what he used to do at Purdue. Is he was great, kind of sitting on the route, and then boom, he'd pick you off. And he looked a little bit like his old days of Purdue when he was a freaking world beater. So
Remember, this is his second game. He's basically a rookie,
pretty much,
and that was a
pretty
heads up
much.
play.
But and our guys, like everybody's intercepting the ball. I think like everybody in the defense is going to have an interception by the end of the season. But it's what do you do with those interceptions? And it's like again, so you get the turnover of the ball, but I mean we got barely anything out of it. The punter did pretty good. I mean, we're talking about a punter; it's not usually a good thing. He didn't do too bad. I think you and I like tweeted within like a minute of each other, like the number 8's not a good jersey. So we went to talk to him about that. Like, hey, look.
Could you imagine this poor guy? He said, "What jersey do you want?" Like 8. Okay, cool. And then he looks like, why is that such a popular number? Why are there so many? Why does everybody have my jersey already? I mean, they
Yeah,
misspelled my name. They call them Pickett, but still, why does everybody have my number already?
yeah. The equipment manager should have said,
Yeah, that's we're unofficially retiring that number for a
you want
while.
18,
Yeah.
something like that. But no, he didn't do too bad. And seems like he may have been a decent choice since ours is done for the season. So who knows? Boz did it again yesterday. He came through when we needed another 50+ yard. He was money, and right now that's what we're leaning on is Boz and some not so great offense, but not horrible offense either. So, and we can say that because last year was horrible. So it, believe it or not, it's still, I think, a little
I
better
mean,
than it was.
how about that Washington New York Giants game where Washington kicked 7 field goals? The Giants had 3 touchdowns, and the Giants lost because their kicker got hurt and they couldn't kick any extra points.
Right?
So, like, how do you score 3 touchdowns? Three
Yeah.
touchdowns to zero and lose? That's very New York Giants.
Even watching the red zone yesterday, other than the Saints game, um, which is a lot of fun, see Dallas lose like that. Uh, it was like you're sitting there like, this is not great. I mean, none of the Packers game and the Colts wasn't great. I mean, I was what 16-10. The Browns game wasn't really fun. None of it. The Bengals and Chiefs were about as good as it got yesterday.
Yeah.
And the Raiders, beating the Ravens was nice. But again, it wasn't like a great game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been kind of a slow start to the NFL overall. Kind of
Um,
sluggish.
usually the NFL, I think in week one, usually throughout the years, they've had about 100 touchdowns, 100 touchdown passes. And I think this year it's only been like 66 or something like that. So,
Mhm.
and like you said, this is really for a lot of teams, this is their preseason because they don't play anybody. They don't actually practice. So they got to work out their kinks and when it counts. It's just so weird and ridiculous.
The sad thing about yesterday that I don't think a lot of people are getting lost because Bonix didn't look good. He still had 7 more completions than Pickens, and he threw for almost 250 yards.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so weird. Like, would you exchange it? Oh, hell yeah, you would. And Pickett's or I can't Pickett. I feel like Fields' numbers may have been somewhat near that without the penalties.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's give us a clean game for the love of God. I mean, that would be so great if they would go out this week and again a 21-10, 24-13. I'd be pretty happy. You
Here's a
know,
crazy idea. How about winning by more than one score? How about every single time, every single game, we have to wonder, it's like, oh, are they gonna march down the field and tie this game or go ahead or something like that?
it seems too like they. I don't want to say they give up on Najee because they don't. But if I feel like he's just like this close to like maybe I don't know because we've run block great like Zach Frazier is the Morgantown Mauler. I
I've
love it.
heard that.
I
Yeah.
love the nickname. I don't know. It may have come from I can't think of names escaping me right now, but from DVE. But it's great, and that's what he does. I mean, he's looking like a stud. He is looking like everything we wanted him to
Dude,
be.
from day one has looked awesome. That was an A+ pickup right there.
It was. So I guess I feel like, well, okay, if you're going to run the ball, maybe I don't know. I mean, Jalen Warren had some nice runs yesterday, really nice runs too, both of them. And it's just like, well, we can't get them. I don't know.
But that's the thing. You have the lead. It's the fourth quarter. And this is supposed to be an Arthur Smith. He loves the run. He loves the run. So just run it down their throats. That's what you're supposed to do. That's like the Jerome Bettis days. Just impose your will. Just jam it down their throats and take off time off the clock. And we haven't seen that yet. Now, I mean, we've had a lot of turnover in the offensive line. Maybe they're not there yet. So maybe that's why, but yeah, I want to see more out of this running game. It's nice, but I think it could be a lot better.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they just got to figure out how to maybe rearrange the play a little bit better, maybe some more running in the second half, a little lighter in the first half. I don't know, but I feel like Jalen is like this close to having one of those like a really nice 120-yard, 1 touchdown, maybe even two. Jalen Warren maybe one and 70 yards because he's getting close to that. So Um, yeah, it's just a matter of things just aren't clicking, and we've gotten very lucky that the defense has been there. Boz has been phenomenal, and honestly, our special teams has been pretty good. Field position's been good, punting's been good. So there's some things here to take out of it, but again, you and I have never said we want to score 40 points again. They're not the Saints, which I can't believe I'm saying that. They're not the Saints. Just give us a 25, 28 points, guys, and I
That's it.
think we're going to
That's it.
start seeing more and more people believe in the Steelers.
Imagine this defense up by like 2 touchdowns, and the other team has to pass. You, God, I like Highsmith and TJ Watt would rack up the sacks like crazy in that scenario.
I really do feel like, I don't want to put too much on Fields, but we are good quarterback play away from being a really good football team. Right
Hmm.
now, we're an okay team with a great defense and just an okay offense. And that something's got to click. And that's why I think you have a great question before about Fields versus um, uh, Wilson. And when does Russell Wilson come in? I think, again, if they win like this again next week somehow, 14-3, 14-6, and I think that's when you got to say, okay, Russell, you're ready
Yeah,
because
we
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 need better
can't.
play out of quarterback.
Yeah.
We just do.
But there was one play where Fields goes back to pass, and the Broncos blitz. It was like a corner blitz, and the
Mm-hmm.
guy's coming at Fields, and nobody's near him. You thought for sure it's going to be a sack, and Fields is like, "Oh, okay, you're chasing me. I will just run. I will just run and pick up like 16 yards." It's like,
Yeah.
how on earth did he do that? The guy was running at full speed at him, and he was standing still, and he still outran the guy. Fields
Yeah.
has outrageous athleticism.
Yeah, and that's where I like when you run. That's what I love
Yeah,
it. Like, okay, boom, okay, there, use that ability that you have. What I don't want you to do is take one step back, make one read, and then tuck it and run. Like Lamar Jackson
right.
does a lot of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But that's where I agreed. I know exactly the play you're talking about. He ran to the left side of the field. Uh, I think he went like 14 yards. Yeah, you're right, 14 to 15 yards. It was great. So that's where you need it. That's not putting us back. It got us a first down. But now it's like. Yeah, yeah. It's just you see the flashes too, and I maybe this is why Bears fans are frustrated. You see the flashes. I mean, there are some passes that are like, wow,
Yeah.
you know, because right now I don't think you can say definitively he is more accurate than Kenny Pickett. Maybe a smidge. Um, but again, it's just I don't know. Unless I don't know if they can go out and get a receiver. I don't know, Joe. Seems a little daunting right now.
I think something can happen. I don't know. I was hoping for Devonte Adams, but I don't think that's going to happen now. But you never know. You never
Well,
know.
it's like,
It's
yeah, you do. It's like we talk about this, and even the Ayuk thing. Besides Ayuk, you really got to be very careful in what you give up because right now, Carolina Panthers is sitting there like, we got Bryce Young. You gave up first rounder, which they used to get, or no, you have DJ Moore, who we would
yeah.
kill to have him.
Yeah, he would be amazing.
We would kill. You gave up. You have a second rounder gone. You lost your first rounder next year and then a second rounder in 2025.
I think they had three first rounders, maybe. I
I
don't
mean, it
know. Or
was
but
two
but
first
but
rounders at least and two
one
second
of those
rounders.
was used for Caleb Williams. It was the
Yeah.
number one overall pick. You gave
You
up the
gave
number
up,
one overall pick.
yeah, it's not quite like, Herschel Walker trade. That was giving up the farm, but you gave up you gave up the barn and at least, herd of cattle.
And they
And
benched him
yeah,
for Andy Dalton.
right.
I
So yeah, so it's like for Andy Dalton won't die either. Like Andy Dalton, like I'm sure will be playing when I retire. Like he's just, hey, Andy Dalton's playing for the new team out of Memphis. He's the
right.
starting quarterback this year in the year 2038. Um, but yeah, no, it's so yeah, Devontae Adams, great. What do you got to give up for him?
Right.
And
Right.
and that's the thing. It's like I don't mind at this point giving up a little, but you also got to prove to me that we can get him the damn ball too, right now.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a feel. I do. If there's one thing I feel firmly on, I feel if we had a Deontay Johnson or a Deontay Johnson type, I think we'd be in a little bit of a better spot right now. And whether it was Russell Wilson, whether it was Fields, whether whoever it is. But I think that's also part of the problem, Joe. We
Eventually, they're
also
going to
play,
double and triple team Pickens and completely take him out of the game. And then what do you have? You better hit Muth. You better hit somebody. You better do something because
yeah, I think you might see a little bit more of that. I think you might see more to Muth and more to even Darnell Washington inside, say the 20 or 30 next week. I think you might see that come into play a little bit more because it's just not getting done by Van Jefferson and Miles Austin. Even he had a 19-yard gain and it was called back. Wasn't a bad play either. And I remember the frustration on his face. Like you got to be kidding me. But that was one of
yeah,
the holds. It was a nice play. It was a real nice rollout right. There he was. Boom. You get it to him. And yeah. Yeah. But
yeah,
you've been just comment about the size too. I've always worried about that because there was one play on a kick return yesterday where Miles Austin got tackled by the entire Denver Broncos special teams. There was like
yeah.
11 guys on him. And it's like I
Good
don't think,
for him for holding on to the ball.
yeah, because
Dang.
I don't think you can take that too much anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I I feel like it's a home opener. I feel like the Steelers have got to be at least a point. I don't even know what the line is right now, but it can't be much. And I don't think any of us have enough confidence to say it's by, oh yeah, they can beat them by 6. I don't know until they do it.
Yeah. See, the thing that scares me is Justin Herbert is actually good. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he could run. And he
Yeah,
has killed the Steelers in the past.
yeah, he's capable. He is a capable quarterback. I would kill to have him on the team right now.
Yeah.
I really would. Well, then again, maybe with the receiving core we have, I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Steelers are a 1.5 point favorites.
And I think that's about right, and I don't see that line moving too much.
Yeah.
I really don't. So who knows, Joe? But that's the thing. I'm still going to say it's a win. That's what I predicted with you in the beginning of the year, but it's cautionary.
I-
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I could just oh boy. One thing that is kind of getting overlooked. Cam Hayward is basically back.
Oh yeah,
The dude is blowing up any offense. It's beautiful. It's
it
we
is.
love to see it.
It is. He looked great yesterday. And I think that you've also seen some elevated play from some other of our interior linemen. I really think they're seeing and learning from him, which I didn't get
Mhm.
much of a chance to do as last year because of his injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's done pretty good, and that's what you want out of that kind of a play. He had 3 total tackles, one solo, one for a loss, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
But he's looked very good. And
We shall
that's the
see.
thing. I mean, there's a lot of things on defense we can say and look at it and be like, man, I mean, look how many guys had tackles yesterday. So let me run down. So, do you know who had the most total tackles yesterday? You might be surprised by this.
Hmm.
It caught me off guard. I did not guess this.
No idea.
Deshaun Elliott with 9.
Interesting.
Nika had 7. Alex Highsmith had 4. KZ had 4. Patrick Queen had 4. TJ Watt had 3. Cam Hayward had 3. Dante Jackson 3. Keanu Benton 3. Um, Landon Roberts 2. Isaiah Loudermilk 2. Corey Trice Jr. had 2 tackles 2. Montavious Adams had 3. Yeah, he had 3. So it's very well spread out. We have a lot of depth right now. And these guys are doing exactly what you want them to do. So it's been a really good job on the defense. They've looked really good. Again, a lot of tackles for losses on both the Broncos and Atlanta. And and Joey Porter Jr. is shutting guys down. Cortland
Yeah.
Sutton gotten the best of him for 1 second yesterday. That's it.
You barely heard from Cortland Sutton all game. Yeah. Yeah. Joey Porter Jr. He is the shutdown corner.
Yeah,
And I think he's gonna get at least Pro Bowl, maybe all pro this year. He is just amazing.
they were talking about him on Fantasy Football Now Sunday morning, and there's a lot of questions about Landon Roberts, fantasy owners, right? And he said, don't worry. Don't be benching Landon Roberts yet because he went against the glove. He went against maybe the best there is in the business in Joey Porter Jr. last Sunday, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's what you're seeing. I mean, good. Give us your best guy. We got him. We got him. We have him locked down with Joey Porter Jr. So all that's great. Corey Trice, again, what he did coming off the bench, great. There's all kinds of reasons right now to be pretty high on this defense, and in the same stratosphere, there's all the same reasons to be worried about the offense. So it's like we're back to square one.
But yeah. I mean, clearly the defense is a star, and you want the defense to win the game, but you still gotta score some points. That's what this game is about: scoring points, and not this 13-point crap. It's just not gonna fly, guys.
Well, in a discipline too, Joe. I mean, the penalties were through the roof yesterday. There were 18 penalties. 18 penalties for 183 yards.
It's
All
insane.
right. So when we go back, and I'll go back and read that again. So when you look at, again, Bo Nix, 246 yards passing, Fields 117. There's a big part of that right there. I think Fields is probably at 250 or more without all those stupid penalties.
Yep.
But I mean, that's the discipline is another thing, guys, and most that's on offense. There wasn't a lot of defensive penalties yesterday where you were like, you got to be kidding me, A lot of that was on our offense, Joe. I mean, they're not good enough to be able to have that many penalties, and they're damn lucky they didn't turn the ball over again yesterday.
Yeah, they almost did again. Dang snap. Come on, Fields, get these
And I
snaps
feel like
right.
that's going to come, Joe. I really do. I think
Oh,
at some point, it may not be, it's going to cost us, but it could cost us.
yeah,
Even if they turned it over against the Broncos yesterday, I'm not sure they would have been able to do anything. But you turn that over against the Chargers with their run offense, and like you said, Justin Herbert, they're going to make you pay.
right.
You're either giving up a 3 or you're giving up 6.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Let's just hope. Maybe home cooking. I mean, this is impressive. They went 2-0 and 2-0 on the road too. That is impressive, regardless of who they played. So maybe going home will help the offense more.
I will tell you a funny side story today. So, is Joe knows this, folks. I'm in West Virginia, in the depths of West Virginia. I'm 4.5 hours down into West Virginia, very rural, at a resort for work. And for golf today, I had a Penn State hat on, and I kind of, but because they were somewhat upset about that, but they were really pissed off about losing the Pitt, which good for Pitt. So then I had I put on a Steelers thing tonight for dinner because it's actually only like 50 degrees down here tonight. So I had a Steelers pullover for dinner. Like, yeah, Zach Frazier, like there's like Pennsylvania swings and has like a giant tail down in West Virginia, and they're all Steeler fans. So yeah, funny, like Steelers, yay, Penn State, Pitt, like, I mean, they've had a hard couple weeks here in WVU.
Beanie Bishop too. He's from West Virginia, I
Beanie
believe.
Bishop, yeah, yep, but WVU's had a hard couple weeks with both us and Penn State and Pitt. So
Penn State and Pitt whooped them pretty good. Oh my goodness. That
yeah,
was
yeah, a lot of heads hanging low down here this week.
that
But
was
I'll tell you this: it's a Steelers podcast. But I said this to you 100 times, Joe, and I'll say it again. That's why you should play that game. It was a great game between Pitt and WVU every year. That's why Penn State should play one of these two teams every year. I told you my idea about the rotation. Whatever it is, Pitt, WVU, Penn State should all be playing each other somehow, or home and home, whatever the hell, every year.
it's what college football is all about.
Yeah,
The
it's
rivalry
fun.
games.
It's fun. Yeah, you're
And
going to lose. It's not fun to lose. It's not
it
fun to lose.
was it was it was palpable hatred between Pitt and West Virginia, and it is every year. We hate each other. It's like that with Pitt and Penn State too, but that rival that series is basically dead. But
Yeah.
even if they brought it back, it's a natural rivalry. It would just start hating each other all over again.
And I can even think of the times when I lived in Pittsburgh and I would come down for Pitt and Notre Dame. I mean, like Notre Dame, you get that. And then because you can't tell me for the rest of the Pitt schedule, Joe, that anyone's really pumped about any of those teams. I
No, and
mean,
nobody will show up. That's the thing. They
yeah,
sold out the stadium for West Virginia, and then whoever
right.
they play next will you get 10,000.
Yeah, you'll get like Syracuse coming in or whoever, and you're like, maybe Clemson because of their success, you might get some Clemson, whatever, but it's just not the same, man. And
Yep.
I just wanted to say that. I know we're going off the rail a little bit, but you need to
No.
have a backyard brawl, folks.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, Pitt has really not had much success in the last, I don't know, all my entire lifetime. But in I believe it was 2007, they ended up going 5-7 that year. But one of those wins was against West Virginia, 13-9. You say to any Pitt fan, 13 and the number's 13-9, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. We
Right.
didn't do we had a lousy season, but we beat West Virginia, and they were about to go to the national championship game, and we stopped them, and it was beautiful. I
Well, and
could
that's
think of
still true.
there was a time in I believe it was 1982 or something like that, one of those Dan Marino teams when it looked like Pitt was going to go for the national championship, and then they ran into Penn State, and Penn State destroyed them. I believe it was 48-14.
Yep. Yep.
Few years ago when Penn State played and Pitt beat them 42-39 and ruined their season.
And that was
It's
a great game. I
yeah.
mean, that was, you guys got, there was a pick six that really cost Penn State that game. But McSorley and Saquon were world beaters. And we
Was a
beat
team with
Ohio State.
Saquon Barkley.
Right.
My
We beat
God.
all the teams we needed to, and that's what, sure, does that stick in my craw? Yeah. But it's fun for you guys. And it's fun for me
Yeah,
to say 48-14 or 50-69
exactly.
or whatever it was. Right.
Exactly.
And that's just the thing you kind of miss because it's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
um,
it's what college sports is all about, and they should play every year. Get that those emotions going.
absolutely.
All right, sir.
Well,
Well,
we'll see you next week, Joe.
yes, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Take care. Have a good
See ya.
week, Joe.
You too.